Well, that ended poorly. Out of the 40 summons, getting only two non-focus 5 stars, both while they're both really good IVs, with Julia being plus attack minus resistance and Ishtar being plus attack minus defense. I already have both of them already. Granted, having a merge for the Ishtar that I have definitely helps, but having Julia at +2 doesn't really make as much difference as opposed to +1. Now, of course, I'm going to spark for Ganglöt as she will not be included in the regular pool. Now, luckily for me, this does mean that I don't have to answer as many questions since I only have 2 questions to answer. But this is just painful, especially since this is one of those cases where I don't think I hit anything else of value aside from Elise for record for the Hero Encyclopedia. On to the first question, which is referring to any older legendary. So this is before we had the pair up mechanic, before these were just the original units that have kind of fallen out of value, even with some of the refines. Because older legendary units are no longer included in the current rotations, they are extremely hard to get for new players, which is a shame as some of them are very good for how early they were released. So for some really good examples, I'm going to ignore some of the really easy ones like Fjorm, because her refine's not super good, but she did get the fact that she did get both Unity and then Mirror Stance 3 in her remix. That makes her really good. You have Gunthra giving you a buff to not only her B skill, but also to her giving her attack res solo 4. Her refine is essentially the what vulture weapons are. Let's see. Hrid is essentially the same thing. Tiki has the ability to get a savior skill. While Azura was actually one of the worst refines in general, she did get a good skill with the upgrade of her Grey Waves. Lucina has a buff to her assist skill that gives her another turn. And then Ephraim he gets solo abilities. His lance is a lot easier to proc, and he also does better with healing from his Solar Brace too. So in terms of how to make them easier to get, would you make them into 4-star specials for the normal pool, or make tickets to summon them as 4-star specials like down the road? And the same thing could be said for any older mythics. So like anything that's not necessarily out of the loop, but instead they are part of they're just older units that don't have as good of a kit anymore. So probably like Leaf or Thrasier are 2 really good examples. There is a third option that I did not write down, and that could be making it just 4-star special for legendary and mythic banners, making them more valuable to pull on. I've seen a lot of cases where people say that you really don't want to pull on legendary or mythics because the pull rates can actually be really bad. And then the other thing is that those kind of banners are very hard to like. You only get 3 choices, and that's kind of based on rotation. So you could get a rotation where there's a color that you want nothing of. Either you have a +10 or you just don't like what the character offers. There's also cases where you'll have like 1 legendary unit and then the remaining 2 are just from the normal pool, which makes it very hard to validate pulling unless you're really pulling for those units, for their skills, for their kits, whatever it is. I'd say that would probably be the top one. And then the ticket portion would probably be second. While I do think that putting them in the normal pool for 4-star as a 4-star special, it would only make sense if you made it so that they would be in their own separate pool, as opposed to adding them into the already extremely bloated pool that is the 4-star special pool. The other option is if you put them in the 4-star special pool, you could remove some of the older units like Ike, base form Olwen, I think base form Sonicy, Julia, Deirdre, all the units that are from like year 1, you could just move those into the 4-star pool, move them into somewhere else just to free up some room. So that way there's less of a chance of you missing whatever it is, or it makes it easier to hit what you're trying to pull. As for question 2, another ongoing question, this one's going to be who should get their first alt first? A little bit redundant, but yeah, that's the thing. So it's going to be 2 sword armor units from year 1. It's going to be either Drog or Arden. So they're both kind of similar in terms of starting position. They both start with the Brave Sword as a armor unit, which is high defense, low speed, doesn't really make much of a difference when wielding the Brave weapon. In fact, having that 2 times attack is definitely a very good thing. I'd say that Draug kind of edges Arden out a little bit more because while they both have something similar, Arden was really built better. It's kind of like the developer said, we feel sorry for him being kind of like a dud pull in genealogy, so we're going to make him really good. And they did actually make him very good. They made him have his PRF is just continuing on the unit attacks twice instead of initiating combat. He has a PRF B skill in the form of the follow-up ring, where just by keeping himself above 50% HP, he gets 4 attacks. Whereas Drog really doesn't have anything like that. The only thing that he has is Stalwart Blade, which is just debuff. That's really all I can think of it. I know that there might be something more to it, but I think the fact that I can't remember probably pushes his blade as inferior to Arden's blade. In terms of stats, Drog is completely outclassed by what Arden is, since Arden has one of the lowest speed stats in the game. But his kit actively says, I guarantee follow-ups, I do what I want to do. And then the other thing is that Drog is kind of like he's got more options in terms of reclassing in Shadow Dragon and New Mystery, because he actually does really well as both a mercenary and a hunter. Hunter especially because his growth rates are actually tuned more towards being a hunter. Arden is kind of one of those cases where you really have to think, what do I want Arden to be? Because you don't have Greek classes, and even as most people don't really use him aside from getting the follow-up ring that he finds, and that's really it. So I'd push Drog more just because I do want to see him as a bow unit or as an actual like infantry sword unit. I'd be interested in seeing him as a cavalier. If you want to stretch it and give him a flying unit, that'd be really cool. I think probably if I were to push for Drog, I would say some kind of like spring or Easter bow unit for the hunter. If they decided on Arden being first, I personally wouldn't mind because that would be another unit moving off of the no alt list. But in Arden's case, I would be very interested in seeing what he looks like as a summer unit. So take off the armor and see what he does. The other option could be giving him a lance unit as a general. Axe works, bow works, pretty much. The thing about heroes is that because of how the alts are, there's no real limit to what you can do. You can make someone a tome user using a piece of gingerbread house, aka Bernadetta. You can pretty much do anything within reason for this set. So to clarify, I would prefer seeing Drog. He's gone longer. His refine was kind of meh, and his kit really needs work. Whereas Arden, he starts out with he has 2 PRFs that are very good for what he offers. His stats are move way closer to what a knight is: high defense, high strength, low speed, low resistance. And I actually do remember. The other thing is that Arden is a free-to-play unit. You can get him just from the Grail shop. Drog is a pull unit. So this time was a little bit shorter. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see, please consider subscribing. Thank you.